All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And this video is not for any monetary gain. It is explicitly for the reasons stipulated in the Copyright Act of 1976 under Section 107.
You understand how dysfunctional, how disruptive the white man, nobody on this planet has been able to live in peace with this fucking motherfucker. Cause it's not in their nature. It's in their nature just to try to conquer and lie and kill. And when everything is going good, it just gotta go bad. Everybody chilling. Hey, what are you doing? It just gotta go bad. Mm-hmm. You punk motherfucker.
The trials held in the aftermath of the Dakota War of 1862 were marred with corruption, prejudice, and the blatant disregard for Dakota rights. They rushed the legal process. There was inadequate representation and systemic bias. The trials were conducted under immense pressure to swiftly just punish the Dakota people. They didn't have time to prepare their defense, and they had no legal representation. This rushed process deprived the defendants of their fundamental right to a fair trial and undermined the integrity of the judicial system. The anti-Indigenous sentiment was very prevalent in this time. It obviously influenced the judges, jurors, and prosecutors, so there was already a predetermined outcome for the Dakotas. The Dakota people were not viewed as individuals deserving of due process, but as members of a perceived enemy group, to be swiftly punished for their alleged transgressions. Despite the evidence of extenuating circumstances, including the long history of broken treaties, land disposition, and the mistreatment of Dakota people, the court showed no leniency. Instead, they handed out death sentences, resulting in the largest mass execution in United States history. President Lincoln, who went to law school, signed off on the execution. It was about to be 300, but he thought that was too harsh. So he signed off on only the grapes, but that was only 2, and there needed to be more of a message. So he signed off on 39, but one was saved before the execution.
This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 10, and it reads, For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak HaKwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on our highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barzal from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. All right, this is another installment of our camp series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob, where we go into history, both past and present, with respect to this devil Esau Edom, who is the so-called white man, according to Malachi 1 and 4. Okay, he is the red man that's spoken of in Genesis 25 and 25. He is not white. White, when you go into the etymology of that words, it means without moral impurity. And we know that that's a damn lie when it comes to their character and who they are as a people. Their history is reflecting that uh, um, daily, all right? That they are not the peaceful people who they fool the world to thinking that they would be. All right. So yeah, like the scripture said, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. All right. So yeah, going through the history, showing all of your violence against the Israelites, who are your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay, primarily, and then those who are scattered abroad, all over to the four corners of the earth. It says that shame is going to cover you, and that's what you don't like. That's why you're censoring things, taking down brothers' pages, you know, going through history, removing, all of the terrible stuff that you've done, and continue to do. Just wipe it out, try to sweep it under the rug. It's not going to work anymore. All right. It says because of that shame, you're going to be cut off forever. So the time is coming. They said every empire roughly has a lifespan of 250 years. July 4th, 2026, exactly 250 years for you. And it doesn't look like there's anything you're celebrating. Nobody's happy to see you make that. All right. Nobody, especially now your own people. Yeah, they're, what does the scripture say? Let me get that. This is Sirach. Close those out. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 14. And verse 5. It says, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. So you are insatiable. Nothing is ever enough for you. The story of the great gatherers in Obadiah, and I believe it's Jeremiah as well too. You can have everything and you're still not happy. Look at you now. You got the office of POTUS, and the Senate and a House. You're still not happy. What are you so angry about? All the power's in your hand. You're still not happy. All right, that's because that you know that this rulership is almost over. Deep down in the spirit, the elites know it's coming to an end. That's why they're making preparations, going to those bunkers and those space stations. Don't worry about it. It's a waste of time and a waste of money, because you will be coming out of those and brought out and going into slavery. All right. So yeah, and after that slavery is done, you're gonna be cut off forever, just like the scriptures say, out of existence. All right. So I got this article from EJI, one of our sources for Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob series. EJI stands for Equality Justice Initiative, and it gives a historical account on a calendar base of the history of the atrocities that has happened to both the northern and southern kingdom of Israel. All right. So today's topic is about the Dakota massacre. All right. It says on this day, the title, November 5th, 1862, U.S. government sentences over 300 Dakota men to death. All right. And they were called the Sioux Indians. SIOUX, Sioux Indians. All right. It says on November 5th, 1862, the U.S. government sentenced 303 Dakota men to death for their participation in the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. It says in the early 1800s, white settlers increasingly encroached upon the land of the Dakota people in Minnesota. Okay, these are the Dakota people. All right. I read somewhere else about the Sioux as well. To maintain peace, the Dakota agreed to a series of treaties, the first of which was signed in 1805, exchanging their land for the promise of financial payments and goods. Yeah, right. You know the scripture that comes to mind real quick. This is the book of Psalms 55. Verse 20. It says, He hath put forth his hand such as to be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant, and like 400 of them, 400 treaties that they broke. Okay? It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And that's the way this devil is. You know, he tells you that on the back of the dollar bill. Look at it. You know his symbol is the eagle. Look at that eagle going on the back of the dollar bill. And one talon, he has an olive branch, which means peace. And the other talon, he has a bunch of arrows, which means war. All right. Can't trust this devil under no circumstances at all. You know. Yeah. Talked all that smooth stuff, and then it did what? You reneged on it. All right. Get another precept. This is Sirach, also Ecclesiasticus, one we always bring out, chapter 12, verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right. So as iron is guaranteed to rust, this devil, red devil, is guaranteed to be wicked. All right. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. All right. Yeah. Like you wipe a looking glass, you know, like you got fog on your glass, you know, you wipe it, you still there. That's like his wickedness. It's never going to leave. All right. And what causes iron to rust? You know, the oxidation, you know, oxygen. So as long as this son of a bitch is breathing, you know, he's going to be wicked, period. That's why he has to go, according to the scriptures. All right. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Yeah, you were warned not to trust him. You did anyway, you know, and it went bad. As we're going to see. All right. Back to the article. It says, after the American Civil War began in 1861, the U.S. government failed to pay the money promised to the Dakota. Yep. Always lying. Always lying. That's Psalms 58 and 3. Let me grab that. Deceitful. Book of Psalms 58, verse 3. It says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Always. All right. Always. Lying. Never tell the truth about anything. All right. It says, back at the top, after the American Civil War began in 1861, the U.S. government failed to pay the money promised to the Dakota. This monetary deficit, coupled with further settlement encroachment onto Dakota hunting and farming lands, pushed the Dakota to the brink of starvation, prompting Dakota men to begin making incursions into white settlements for food in the summer of 1862. And rightfully so. You know, you lie, you're going to take their stuff, they coming to get it back. All right. Goes on, it says, in response, the U.S. organized a military force composed of federal troops and local militia, and the conflict escalated. Outnumbered, the Dakota forces surrendered in September of 1862. Over 2,000 Dakota were taken into custody. All right, you didn't took their land, promised them stuff, failed to give it back. You know, when they make an effort to, you know, recoup what you took away, now they're the villain. That's typical Esau Edom. All right, in their military. The same thing they're doing today. He says, on November 5th, 1862, a territorial commission composed of 5 military officers sentenced the captured Dakota men accused of participating in the war. Of nearly 500 Dakota tried, 303 were sentenced to be executed. These men had no access to lawyers, and some of the trials lasted fewer than 5 minutes. After ordering the review of the trial records, President Abraham Lincoln commuted all but 39 death sentences. The execution of the condemned Dakota men on December 26, 1862, remains the largest single mass execution in American history. And you notice when they did it, you know, enjoyed their pagan holiday, Christmas, and then, uh, uh, executed all those men. All right. They executed all of those Israelites, You didn't took their land, promised them things, reneged on it, and now they're the guilty ones. I swear, man, y'all got a lot to pay for, a whole lot to pay for. All right, and it's gonna happen too. All right, it's gonna happen. All right, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, beginning in verse 19, and it reads, Salakia, Egypt shall be a desolation. And Egypt, means house of bondage. That's where the northern and southern kingdom are right now in America. Jeremiah 15:33, Judah and Israel were oppressed together. In Babylon, they refused to let us go. All right. Just like ancient Pharaoh didn't want to let the Israelites go. But it's going to happen. All right. The Lord is about to get us up out of here real quick, but you're going to pay for this shit first. All right. Or after, we come into that spiritual power. All right. Have those new bodies, the law, statutes, and commandments within our inward parts. All right. It says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. Nothing left. All right. All the lands that Edom had, gone, especially America. Revelations 18 tells you that. You will not know where the states were by the time the Lord and those nuclear missiles get finished with this place. All right. Scriptures tell us it's going to burn for a very, very long time. And after that, nothing but desert creatures are going to live here. All right. 5,000 plus square miles of rubble. That's all it's going to be. All right. It says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah. All right. Judah being the so-called Negroes of America, and also representing the Southern Kingdom. Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, who are your so-called Negroes. Levi, your so-called Haitians, and Benjamin is your so-called West Indians or Jamaicans. Okay. It says, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Verse 20, but Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. That's that immortality. After the Lord has come back and gathered his elect, have those new bodies. The law, statutes, and commandments on our inward parts will never go off again, never be ashamed again. All right. Be back in our own land. All right. That's what that means here. Judah shall dwell forever. Yeah, you won't die. Jerusalem from generation to generation, it'll never go down again. All right. Verse 21 says, for I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion. Read that again. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai dwelleth in Zion. How do you cleanse the blood? This is the book of Numbers, chapter 35, verse 33. It says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. You hear that, Esau, Edom? Just like you continually to shed blood, when we come into that power, yours will be shed as well. All right? Yours will be shed as well for what you've done to us in this land. You can't hide. Scriptures say that. All right? Ezekiel 35. Verses 5 and 6. All right? Let's start at the top so you can have context, verses 1 and 2. The Lord is talking to Mount Seir, okay? Seir was the original home of Esau, Edom. All right? You get that in Genesis 36. Go straight to the point. Mount Seir, that's where he dwells. So wherever he is ruling at is Mount Seir. All right? Ezekiel 35, verse 5 says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. And we know Esau, Edom furthered the affliction. You know, Zechariah 1 and 15, nonstop, just didn't give a fuck. You know, it was all fun and games with him, murdering Jake. Okay, verse 6 says, therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh our power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Yeah. And that's talking about the whole nation, the entire nation. Like I said, you can't cleanse the blood unless it's be cleansed by the blood of him that shed it. Numbers 35 and 33. All right. I'll close out with this. Book of Obadiah, where we started. 1, verse 18. It says, and the house of Jacob, that's the southern kingdom, shall be a fire. And the house of Joseph, that's the northern kingdom, shall be a flame. And the house of Esau for stubble. And they, northern and southern kingdom, you know, the entire nation of Israel, shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. For Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, have spoken it. All right. So that concludes this installment of For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. Once again, going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Abab Abal. We got next. Shalom.